We are being led in this world by a subtle form of brain damage. It happens. Hitler, Mussolini, Mao, Pol Pot, Lenin, Stalin, to name a few, preceded this Great Reset. Going back through the corridors of history, we shall find many such movements of likewise insanity, heralding some fabulous coming future for mankind, destroying the present ground where man's only life is to be found. A future which brings only carnage and despair, tears and suffering. We are always led by a subtle form of brain damage. We suffer the same. Did we not, we would not allow ourselves to be led. We would see greater value in the ability to understand and so lead our own lives than the following of any self-proclaimed expert in any field, political, religious, medical, or otherwise. We would not live our lives suffering and cold in the shadow of another man's self-interest. A communal brain damage has been inflicted upon our world. This is inflicted upon every child born into this cruel society of humanity. We lead our newborn into the understandings of our old as quickly and as effectively as possible. No child is permitted the freedom to reach their own found wisdom of their own life. Each of us is disciplined into strict divisive societal principles we must follow, told what to think, which is what to accept, never how to think, never into the light of our own vision. We are led, for our securities, into the dogmas of church and temple, and politics and nation, class, social position, and ideology. We are told our place in life and where, within this traditional movement handed down, we may come to find our security. And this security differs for each of us, and so we come to war, battling over who holds the correct inner psychological variety of attachment to educated, accepted, traditional conceptual ideas. Are we insane? Our relationships between each other are between ideas about what we are, which we accepted as children, if we live this way, and so no actual relationship at all. The relationship between human beings has now died. How can one man relate to another? One calling himself a Zionist, another calling himself a Palestinian. How does a Christian relate to a Muslim, an American to a Russian? We talk of tolerance in this world. Tolerance is a term which rises to our lips whenever there is a lack of relationship. Tolerance is not the same thing as empathy, love, relationship, and care. Impossible to find when looking at another as different to what you are, and so full of suspicion and the underlying currents of conflict within such psychological divisions, always in our lives. For our security, each of us is conditioned to find it behind a coloured piece of cloth, representing the divided piece of this planet they were born onto as children. For our religion, which is the understanding of life itself through the senses, not through the murmurings of educated, repetitive, traditional knowledge, which is thinking, we are once more again provided a well-accepted and well-trodden and well-divisive formula. We are led into a pattern of thinking, which we call a belief, and our securities are found living within this educated, unquestioned pattern of thinking. Thought is knowledge, which is the foundational material for belief. Knowledge is never complete, meaning never whole, meaning never holy. A religious quality to life, therefore, can never be found in any belief. Belief divides people, lays a ground for conflict, and conflict, of course, denies love. And religion is love. Religion is the coming together of mankind, not the dividing of him between educated, differing beliefs. What divides man brings him to war, not to religion. And so I ask why our religions divide us all as human beings, and why, in thousands of years of their existence upon this sorrow-filled earth, are we living in every bit an abomination as we did in the days of Babylon, Sodom, or Gomorrah. Perhaps this day even more so. Why, if there was anything of value in any leader, national or religious, should we not by now be leading a better life? Is mankind eternally condemned to a life of division, and so a life of conflicts, and so suffering, death, and pain? Why can we not structure this society around care and respect for the quality of each other's lives? Care for every one of us, giving what each of us needs, no less and no more, for both are dangerous to our lives. Our world is clearly showing to us this day that the holding of any self-interested and so selfish man of more than he needs is a very dangerous situation for our entire world. Numbers are not indicative of intelligence. Neither is a man's ability to live only considering himself. Why can we not live together, share together, respecting everyone's right to live? Why do we hold no love for each other and only seek to battle against and profit from the lives of others? Why can we never have enough and so deny any quality of life and even life itself to so many? And why is the consideration of the wealth of the rich in numbers of more importance than the daily life of a suffering human being or the health of the environment which sustains us and is part of us? It is self-interest behind all of this despairing stupidity and life-draining destruction. Educated self-interest. Self-interest is a form of educated brain damage, a societal hijacking of every child's memory functions to instill a life-damaging approach of finding security by living in conceptual time. Finding security in becoming. There is no security in becoming. Becoming is a form of continuity, and what continues other than the past? Is our past so wonderful that we find the greatest security in its divisive, war-causing continuity? Or will security only be found between us all when our divisive pasts, denying all security between us, totally comes to an end? Our brain damage was completed during school years. We were each of us placed in a psychologically structured inward cage of concepts, words, and images related to the culture born into. We were each taught a conflicting version of what to think, never how to think. And we were each taught to always live within memory by virtue of being led into memory-based activities every day of our young lives for at least a 12-year duration. Memory is thinking. Thought is a movement of past recorded experiences stored in the brain cells. Memory is divisive between us, as none of us has had the same past. And so here we come to find the root human psychological behaviour which births every conflict and every war we have ever had to experience. Here we find the divisions between every man and woman's life. And so here we find the psychological activity which is driving the end days of our species. No warring people can survive themselves, and we have been programmed to live in conflict against each other. Muslim against Christian against Muslim, American against Russian against American, rich against poor against rich, communism against democracy against communism. These are all ideas. The moment we create an ideological ground to stand on, based on our limited life-educated and remembered experiences, we divide ourselves from other members of humanity who are all doing exactly the same, but are living in differing psychologically generated ideologies, offering the same limited life security, which is no security at all. For these ideologies divide us as people, and in our divisions we war. Thinking, the movement of our past, The movement of what we have accepted during tentative childhood years from the unquestioned dogmatic assertions of another also carries immense self-interest, which again is a conditioning legacy of the classroom. Get to the top of the class, compete against everyone else to do so, battle in a state of division, self-concerned, and so in a state of eternal competition against the life of every other. Competition is a form of violence. The classroom also conditions our brains to accepting a traditional continuity of memories handed down decade after decade, century after century, to always finding security in the acceptance of an authority, to follow others, to find one's life security, to find meaning in words. We are educated out of the understanding of our own lives met by the senses, for and by ourselves, which would otherwise naturally occur in a life in the meeting of it, met freely from accepted inner ideologies, now colouring and distorting what we meet. We are placed in a mould of what is acceptable for our society to think. As our thinking is the ground of our actions, we are placed in a similar mould in how we act. We have been nothing but limited, and we do not stray far from this educated limitation. We come to value it. For this, we have been educated to find our security living within, that which divides and kills us. The security divides us as an adult from others who as children were educated in exactly the same manner, but to hold security and allegiance to a differing set of societal principles based on the lottery of where every child is born in life, in this deeply divided and so deeply conflicted world. And now, we seek to heal our world, divided from one another, brain damaged, projecting meaningless educated meaning onto our world, which denies the only true meaning possible, that of meeting life free from inner limiting images ever distorting what we see and bringing one man's life into a state of hostile combat against another's. Limited to a bank of knowledge instilled and gathered, living lives of confusion, confined within inner talking memories, words and images. We have now lost all of our connection to our true ground of life, if we ever had one. Life is not found in words and images, ideas and beliefs. Life has substance greater than this. Words and images are abstractions of the real. We are all fighting today over which long-standing, continuous, divisive, historically passed down insane ideology comes to rule. We are all seeking top of the class, in competition against every other. We seek to control the lives of others. We never see the life of the other is our life. And so we engage in this progressive, rotting continuity of our society, a movement constantly repeating and adding to what it has previously known, all the while surrounded and immersed in the most loving, caring, living and infinite, silent universe. We need become silent like this universe. Then our days of leadership are over.